There was some real stuff that happened in that movie that wasn't movie related.
Yeah, with Jamie Foxx and the
And what, LL Cool J.
LL Cool J.
Yeah, it was those two. So Ronnie, final couple minutes. We got about 8 minutes or so. So let's bring it back Saturday, back on stage at the Straz.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about the man, Lenny Bruce.
Yeah, Lenny was, he died in the 60s. He was a comic. He died in 66. He was a forward thinker. He was the first comic to get on stage and not do jokes. He always said his comedy was very much like Charlie Parker. He had a jazz rhythm. He heard it like jazz music. And because he would play in these dive bars in front of this jazz band, and he'd turn around and make the band laugh. He was the first guy to say, "So listen to what happened to my wife." Nobody was doing that kind of comedy. They're like, what? Now that's all we know, right? But like he paved the way and like held a mirror up to society and asked a lot of questions. Yeah, but why? But why? But why? And they didn't like that. And so, the play's tragic and it's very funny and it's everything. It really, you go on a ride, you watch. People don't realize how important he was and still is. I mean, they still teach about him in college and First Amendment free speech and, he was not just the comic, but he was obviously, the Godfather comedy, in my opinion, and many. If you hear interviews about, Richard Pryor and Carlin, they say without Lenny, they just don't exist.
Well, and the younger generation, all they normally hear is, without Carlin, without Richard Pryor, they don't go that far back to Lenny Bruce. They go to that era.
Well, the good news is there's a show called The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It's on Amazon, and they have a Lenny Bruce character. And he's Lenny Bruce, and he saves the day for the lead character, and he's a comic. So there's an entire generation of people who now are hip to who Lenny was, at least a version of Lenny. They don't tell the whole story, warts and all, but they introduced him. Because when I wrote the play, I thought it was for 90-year-old little Jewish ladies. That's why I thought I was writing the play for.
My mom's not quite that old. She's about 70.
She would know Lenny. She probably. It turns out everybody. I wrote the play for everybody because 70% of my audience is young people now because of Maisel. They're like, oh, I want to learn more about this guy. And the fact that places like the Straz are calling for me to do it tells me that there's something here.
What's it like to tour? You talked about you were in one place up in New York, you were in one place in California. What is it about touring, that you enjoy, or do you even enjoy doing it?
I do now. I was commuting every weekend in Chicago. I have a 14-year-old daughter, and it was awful not being with her. So, but my fiance comes with me everywhere I go. You see my big entourage here, Zanelle and Cortney. That's my whole crew. And Cortney handles the stage managing. And we just, we travel around. We have fun. I try not to do consecutive cities to the best of my ability. I try to do a city, go home for a little bit, do another city, because I try to kind of control how much I'm out. But
do you? And I know you try to get out into St. Pete a little bit. Do you try to go and experience, see things, do things, when you have time?
I try, but St. Pete, we couldn't wait to get here today, and it was.
And now you can't wait to leave.
It was pouring so hard. We didn't even get out of the car. We sat in the car. There was like buckets of rain on top of the car.
For 10 minutes, and then nothing.
Yeah, well, it was a lot. I was sitting in the car the whole time. Anyway. But apparently that's common here. There's a lot of but St. Pete is awesome, and I really want to go to Steinbrenner Field.
I'm going to call a friend of mine who's heavily involved, high up the food chain.
I work Saturday, and then we
don't let work get in the way of a good time.
No, but we don't leave till Wednesday is what I'm saying to you. Okay. So I'm around Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
I have a question before we have run out of time. When you get into a character, you said you had to really dive into into the character. Is there a point where you played a role where you're like, you know what? This is how people know me. I like this identity better than my own identity, or have you ever seen yourself?
And can you teach him? Because we got to get rid of the identity that he has.
Or playing a police officer on General Hospital. Have you ever, told people not jaywalk when you see them in public?
No, but the opposite. People ask me for police advice, and I'm like, I'm an actor. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I say I'm learning lines and regurgitating. They're like, what should I do about this? I go, call the cops. I'm just an actor. So no, but the Lenny Bruce character.
Thank God you're not a doctor.
I have played a doctor, and I have gotten those questions. But Lenny Bruce was like the ultimate hipster baby. This is how I do the show, man. He was like a groovy cat, So it's not like me, But I guess there's a part of me that kind of, we've become, we're in a relationship, but But no, ultimately, I'm pretty happy with myself. I'm like you, Matt. I really do have high self-esteem. I'm really proud of myself. So,
Bravo.
Do you get to like sporting events when you're on the road? Like, well, the Rays are in town, so
I always try. The Yankees are coming next week. I'm so upset.
well, they have planes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a lot. It's just a lot.
Did the Rays get rained out today?
I go to a lot of sporting events. I love it. My friend has season tickets to the Kings. I grew up in New York, so I'm a Ranger fan, but we have Kings tickets, And obviously, I can't wait till football comes back. It was my favorite, of course. I love baseball. I wish I watch the Yankees every single day from 4 p.m. to like 7 LA time. So no matter what I'm doing, I go home and watch the game. And so I'm a big sports fan.
Now, speaking of the Yankees, that shirt behind you is the minor league team for the Yankees. That was right when there was only 3 boroughs, and that's a framed jersey.
My friend brought me, that's awesome. My friend brought me a hat called the Tampa Bay Yankees, TY. And
Yeah,
I wear
TY,
it,
yeah.
I wear it a lot. And my friend, everyone's like, what is that? Ty? Who's Ty?
Well, they were supposed to say TB, but they got those hats in China. And
Well, they got a good deal on them. That's what
true story. I went and I wanted to
That's
buy
hilarious.
a Washington Redskin hat, when they were taking the Redskin name off. And I bought one on Amazon, and it was from China, and it was like a TT shot hat instead. It was just a total, but it was supposed to be the Yankees.
Everybody's offended now.
What do you collect? Do you collect anything memorabilia-wise, sports memorabilia, any of that kind of stuff?
Yes, if you'd like to talk to my fiance about this, she's right here. My kitchen has 2 big glass towers of all Yankee memorabilia, and I've got some really good stuff. Bucky Dent, Jeter, great Mickey Mantle, stuff like that. So I do.
Randy asks a question usually on the show. I'm surprised he hasn't asked you yet. If you could have dinner with 4 people, dead or alive, fictional or not, who would they be?
Can't be family, because obviously you would.
Yeah. Definitely Lenny Bruce.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think. Wow, that's intense.
Yeah.
That's intense, right? Dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
Fictional or not?
Derek Jeter. I like to hang out with Jeter. I'd say maybe. I think this could sound crazy. Rocky Bleier, Steelers running back
Sure,
in the
okay.
'70s. He fought in
Veteran.
Vietnam.
Veteran,
I love Rocky Bleier.
Great story.
Yeah. I always looked up to Rocky Bleier. And who else? It can't be my fiance.
Well, no, because she would be considered as family.
I would say James Dean.
Oh,
James Dean.
that's a great
Did you say that?
It's a great answer.
She's right. I got pictures of him all over my house.
I
So
said if he doesn't say it, they're coming down.
she's been trying to take it out.
If you could acquire one piece of memorabilia of anything, of absolutely anything, what would that be?
On the spot. It's tough.
That's tough because one of it, I'm a
We're
big
telling
believer
the
in-
best answer ever.
Well, I want to hear the
So
answer
we'll
first.
eliminate it because
All
he's not
right.
going to guess.
So a good friend of ours, Leonard Wester, we only have a minute left. I asked, he goes, I don't want anything. I don't collect anything. I'm like, Leonard, you have to say something. He's real religious, and he's going through religious school, whatever it's called.
religious school.
And he goes, Jesus Christ sandals.
Obviously.
It's hard to top that. I can't do better.
Yeah, you can't. You know what I'm saying? I want those sandals. I want to walk a mile in those shoes.
They'd go for a lot of money.
Yeah.
I've been doing his show for a while during when I was playing with the Bucks. And he'd ask me that question, and I'd answered it, and I'd give him an answer. And then he told me Leonard's answer. One time I was like, yeah, come on.
Yeah, my answer's stupid right now.
Derek Jeter double.
Jesus
I got a couple things in my mind, but they're not.
Do you know that you can now buy every baseball that's being used in a game? Every single ball is for
Really?
sale. Yeah. And I'll show you the website. Like I'm on it with the Rays and the Phillies. This pitch was a strike to whoever. This was a double to
I
left
hope they're
field.
doing something with the money. They should-
Yeah, it's going to the MLBs. Yeah.
No, that's a problem.
All right, we're out of time. Ronnie, thank you very much
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Thank you, guys.
Hopefully we can stay, connected. We can do some stuff. in the
Actually, I was
future.
going to ask you to lose my phone number because this is not going well.
As long as you're not telling me to get rid of Twitter, we're okay, because that's how we've been communicating.
That's true.
Saturday, what time are the 2 shows?
2:30 and 7:30.
So if I'm going, it better be the 2:30 so I can be in bed by 4.
And if anybody's interested, go to LennyBruceOnStage.com and you'll get all the info.
Good stuff. All right, guys.
Have a great show.
Enjoy
Welcome
yourself
to
on
Tampa.
Saturday. Enjoy the pizza, whatever Matt's
Let's
going to
get Jeter over there. He's a local guy.
I'll call Derek real quick.
Call Derek.
I'm calling Howard to get him at the stadium. This has been Knockout Radio, brought to you by 8 Men Strong and Staff Zone. See everybody next week. And I have